So let's talk about the staging yard. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it, at least how I'm planning on doing it. This is the end of Oak Hill. If you remember, when Oak Hill was on the other wall, the staging yard could come straight out. And it was just like a couple feet long. You know, it was just going to be servicing a couple industries. But now I have to span all the way to this bookshelf, basically. And I can't come straight out. I just want to go into the hallway, and my wife's not too keen on that. So I've curved the track, and I'm going to make it attach here with dowel rods like I did before. It's going to extend across here. Right now I'm thinking I can just put a 2x4 screwed to this that it will rest on the end. And I might have a dowel rod or something there just to locate it. The door's going to have to be shut. There's no way around that, because even if I open it, the staging yard won't go through it unless I rehang the door to open into the hall, and I have no intention of doing that. So the door will be shut. My wife, it's just my wife and I here, so she will know if the door is shut. Right now, if the door is shut, she knows I'm shooting a video, but she'll know if the door is shut to not, come in or to knock and wait for me to answer before she comes in, because maybe the staging yard's up, maybe it's not. So I'm going to move the camera and sort of show you what the beginnings of it here. Okay, so you can see the track coming off right here. So I put a piece of a 1x3 right here, screwed it on, so that made sure, and then I put a level on it to make sure that this was going to be the right height, because my staging yard is going to be basically a 1x8 that I'm going to rip down each side off of, and then use that as guardrails. Also, that'll help keep it stiff where it doesn't flex, because that'll be the only support for it. So right now I've got this screwed to this, so it's perfectly level. I'm going to go ahead and take my drill, and I'm going to drill 2 holes here, and I'm going to insert a dowel rod, and the dowel rod is going to go all the way through the 2x2 I've got on the back. That way I know it lines up because it's fixed in place. And when I'm done, I can take this off. I can glue the dowel rod in to this. And when I had it before, I don't know if you can see it, I had the dowel rod glued to this because it wasn't in the way. But now I'm going to go ahead and glue the dowel rods to this, I think, because that way they're not sticking out or someone could actually run into them. That's the plan. I'm going to drill the holes and put the dowel rods in. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've got the holes drilled. This is a 3/8 inch poplar dowel, and it's a tight fit. I can twist it and get it in there. But that's what you want, because you want it to be a pretty tight fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to follow Boomer's suggestion, cut it off proud, maybe a little bit long, and I'm going to put it in from the back side. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a little trick or tip that I learned. So I'm going to go cut them off, and then we'll put them in. Okay, so I had to go to plan B. So plan B, I couldn't put them in from the back side because there's a shelf bracket sticking out there. There's just no way. It's too close to the end to do that. So put them in from this side. They are sticking out on the inside about 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the inside, on the ones out, the parts sticking out on the other side, and then I'm going to tap them this way. If I would have put glue in the hole first and then tapped them in, it would have possibly glued this 2x4 to it too, so I don't want to do that. So that was my tip, was to leave them stick out a little bit, put glue on, and then tap them in. If you put glue in the hole and then tap the dowel in, it'll carry the glue with it. It could be all the way to this 2x4, and I didn't want that. So after I get the glue on it, tap them in a little bit, I'm just going to let this dry all night, and then tomorrow I'll take the screws out, and hopefully the block will slide off. But it's a really tight fit, so I may sand it a little bit after I get it off, just so it's a smoother fit to go on and off. Alright, so it's the next day, and the glue is dried. Taking the screws out, so it slides on and off. I just sand it quite a bit just to get so it's not such a tight fit. I don't want to be fighting with this thing. That'll locate it, and then I'll take a clamp like this. Again, this is Lance Mendheim technique, and I'll just clamp it so it's nice and solid when I use it. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to shut the door and show you how I'm going to figure the angle. Okay, so remember the 2x4 is actually set down by the width of or the thickness of a 1x6. It's actually a 1x8, but I'm going to cut an inch off of it, off each side, and use them for like guide rails, help stiffen it. So to figure the angle, I went ahead and I just cut a piece of cardboard. What I did was I measured the distance from here and tried to keep it parallel to the door, and I'll sort of show you how it's going to look. I'll move the camera again and show you how it's going to stretch across. So you can see the block here. So I've got this 4-foot level. Excuse me if I look a little damp. I got caught in the rain walking the dogs. I was trying to walk both of them before it rained and didn't make it. But I can take this level and I can get it level and mark on the bookcase where I want to put my other cleat. And again, I'm just going to put a 2x4 cleat up against the bookcase, and the staging yard can rest here. And then I can also, it's going to be screwed to the 2x4 that's in there, and I'll figure some way, maybe just another one of these clamps to clamp it to the cleat down here when it's in use. So that'd be pretty good. It's actually going to be longer on the south end than it is on the north end, which I don't need because I'm never going to originate trains out of the north end. But I could possibly park another train there for whatever reason. Might want to, just a little short train. But anyhow, so making progress. I'm going to try to go ahead and get the other cleat on the bookcase here and show you what it looks like. So I've got the cleat clamped in place here. I pre-drilled it with 4 holes. I've got some screws that won't go in all the way through the bookshelf. It would be tragedy if I got my wife's King Arthur Flower Cookie Companion book. Wouldn't go well for me. So I've also checked it with the torpedo level this way. So now I'm going to go ahead and screw it into place. And I'll paint, I'll get some black paint, same as the bookshelf, and paint it, and you'll never even know it's there. Because most of the time the door is open anyhow, to the room. Only time you'll see it is when the door is shut and I'm running my staging yard. So, but I don't think it's going to be obtrusive at all. Okay, here's the staging yard. It's clamped into place. Got it clamped here. It's one of the big clamps, and I've got it clamped behind me with one of the big clamps. Again, I ripped a 1x8 down. These are like guide rails. I've got enough room there for 2 tracks. I will probably paint that white because I think it might be easier to see putting cars on and off. And what I think I'm going to do, walk behind the camera here for a second. I've had different train companies or train suppliers send me these things. I may just actually mount one of these at the end of the track, because I'm never going to have a train that long. Again, this is a branch line. This is supposed to represent a couple of industries, and basically the town of Ironton on the DT&I. That's where the train will end there. So it's never going to be a long train here at all. So I could probably just glue that right over the track, and it'll help me when I'm fiddling the cars on and off. So I'll take the camera off the stand and sort of zoom in a little bit, with my hand, so you can see a little bit more detail on it. But basically, it's pretty much done. I'm going to paint this 2x4 black to match into the bookcase. I don't know what color I'll paint this. Again, I'll probably paint the inside white, but I probably will paint it the same color as the fascia over here. You probably noticed I did change my mind. The dowel rods are glued to the layout itself, not to the staging yard. I just thought it'd be more secure that way, and you're really not going to run into them. They don't stick out that far. So I know I talked about gluing them to the 2x4, but I changed my mind midstream. So this is pretty level. I just have a track come off here. It's already curved, so I have to curve it a little bit, and then I'll put a turnout, and I'll have 2 tracks in here, and they'll be, I don't know, maybe about 3 feet long, each of them, which is more than long enough for what I'm going to do. So let me show you close up. Here's the bottom of it. You can just see I've got a 2x2 screwed and glued to the, that's a hollow core door, but on this end there's a piece of wood there, so it's pretty solid. This is the connection, which I will connect to the staging yard tracks. And so when I take it off, I just would unclamp that. Down here I've got it stabilized with this clamp to this 2x4. And again, I could put like a dowel rod down into here to sort of locate it, but this is pretty simple. I don't see any reason why I need to do that. Again, I'll probably paint it to match the fascia. But I'm trapped in the room. If the door's staging yard's up, I'm trapped in the room. But it's real easy to take off. Undo that clamp. Undo that clamp. And of course I'll have a track here that I have to, slide. I'll see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, harder with one hand. And when I'm done, the staging yard can just rest right there behind the door, and no one will even know it's there. Won't interfere with the door. If you have any questions, comments about how I did this, let me know. But it's a pretty simple method of doing it, and it was about the only option I had. So everybody stay safe.